Hello, Bravehearts. Welcome back to Storytime with Min. Today's story is by Hans Christian Andersen about the smallest girl in the world who had to fight for her freedom and happiness. Her name is Thumbelina. She's so tiny she can ride a butterfly and sleep in a walnut shell. Let's watch Thumbelina's adventure to escape the wrong suitors and find where she truly belongs. Thumbelina was born from a beautiful tulip flower, which a kind woman received from a fairy. She was so tiny that her bed was a walnut shell and her blanket was a rose petal. Life was adorable, but one night while she was sleeping, something terrible happened. A large, ugly mother toad crept into the room, saw Thumbelina, and decided, "She will be the perfect bride for my son." Mother Toad carried Thumbelina to the swamp, where her son was waiting. The toad's son was just as ugly and slimy as his mother, and his voice went, "Croak! Croak!" Thumbelina cried. She didn't want to marry a toad. The mother and son placed her on a water lily pad so she couldn't escape. But Thumbelina was brave. She asked the little fish to nibble through the lily pad's stem so the leaf could float away. Thumbelina's lily pad drifted away, and she lived a lonely life on the water, eating nectar and drinking dew. But autumn arrived and the cold wind blew hard. Luckily, she was spotted by a white butterfly. Thumbelina tied her sash to the butterfly's wing, and the butterfly pulled her leaf along. She was finally free from the swamp, but danger was still lurking. By winter, Thumbelina was nearly freezing to death in a field. She was rescued by a kind old field mouse. The mouse gave her food and a warm home in exchange for her helping with chores. However, the field mouse had a bad idea, introducing her to the rich neighbor, the mole. The mole was very wealthy, but he was blind, constantly gloomy, and only liked living in the dark underground. He wanted to marry Thumbelina. Thumbelina felt trapped again. She couldn't live in the dark and marry someone who didn't love freedom. One day, she found an injured swallow lying underground and secretly nursed it back to health. When the swallow recovered, it promised to help her. On the wedding day, Thumbelina said goodbye to the field mouse and flew up into the air on the swallow's back. She had escaped the terrible wedding forever. The swallow carried Thumbelina to a warm land, where she landed on a flower. There she met a flower prince who was just as tiny as she was. They fell in love instantly, and she was given a pair of wings so she could fly. The lesson is, never settle for a life you don't love out of fear. Thumbelina always chose freedom and persisted in her search. Remember, you are the only one who decides who you will share your life with and where you will live. Be brave and fly after your dreams.